Hello and welcome to the top 10 crossbow units in Divide and Conquer 4.5. I recently watched some videos on Arachir Galudirithon's channel in which he did a overview of the top 10 strike infantry, which was pretty cool, and I thought, well, I'd like to do one of those because it's cool to do the tests and see and figure out which unit is the best in a specific category. And then I was like, I don't really want to step on his toes or anything, so I was like, let's do a unit that he dislikes, and he might even thank me for doing, because I don't think he really likes crossbows. Actually, I think he hates crossbows and using them, so he probably doesn't really like talking about them all that much, and he probably doesn't really care if I do it. So yeah, so that's why I started doing this. And I just wanted to do one of these tests my own and see how I do, what I'd find out. So how did I do this? I had the grassy flat plain map with on a sunny day, uh, and I put up the crossbow unit against one unit of Gondor infantry. I did this 3 times. So 3 times the gunner infantry would charge at the crossbow units, and the crossbow unit would fire their bolts. I would count the amount of volleys the unit could shoot before they engaged into combat. And then uh, I would check how much they would have killed. I did this 3 times for every unit, which would give a nice average of kills per round. And then I could calculate the amount of kills per volley, the amount of kills in total, the amount of kills per unit in the battalion, and then add up all the statistics and find out which unit is the best, so to say, crossbow unit in an offensive situation. I didn't include any other stats than just the shooting of the bolts, so there's no armor or shield bonus or what happens when the unit gets fired back or when the cavalry charges them. That's all not taken account. Also not money-wise or how much resources the unit costs per turn. It's just their offensive archery statistics. So there's a couple of statistics that come from the test, and that's the most kills, the kills per volley, and the kills per unit itself. And I ranked them with the average amount of kills over those 3 rounds of tests I did. This seemed to be the most fair one because, that's how you use the unit in the game. You wouldn't just have one shot of just do one volley of bolts and then retreat the unit. You'd leave it there and keep it shooting as much as possible. So yeah, that makes the unit the most useful one, so to say. But I did calculate the other 2 ways, so kills per volley and kills per unit, which is also a nice ranking, and you can see some difference in there. That, for example, if every unit would have had 100 men, and not some have 150, some have 50. If every unit would have had 100 men, then the ranking would be quite different. Okay, so then we come to number 10, which are the Ered Luin Scouts from Ered Luin. They had 193 kills over the 3 tests, and in those 3 tests they fired 15 volleys. They killed an average of 64 men, with 5 volleys per test. So that's 12.8 kills per volley, which would mean they would have been number 7 in the list of most kills per volley. Per unit, they killed 0.5, and then they would have been 9th. So for the Ered Luin Scouts, they'd been a little bit higher in both lists, but since it's an overall thing, they come in at number 10. They had the slow firing animation, which most dwarves do. 127 men, so that's about average. 7 attack, which is quite low, and 150-meter range, which is also pretty average. Cool, and then number 9 are the Gatekeepers of Bree. They had 196 kills over 3 tests, and in those 3 tests they fired 18 volleys, which comes down to an average of 65 kills with 6 volleys, which is pretty average again. 10.8 kills per volley. They would have finished 13th on that list, so they wouldn't have made the top 10. But per unit they killed 0.5, and then they would have been 8th. They have the fast animation, so they fire a little bit faster. They got 128 men, 8 attack, 140 range with high accuracy. Yeah, these just very average crossbow units again, but Gatekeepers are more or less like 50-50% crossbow, and the other half they are just good solid infantry unit with a big shield and a very good unit to have on the field. So overall they're a lot more useful than just crossbow units. Okay, and number 8 are the Guard of the Hand of Isengard, which is Saruman's bodyguard and the only way you can have this unit. They got 220 kills in 3 tests, in which they had 28 volleys, which is an extreme amount, because I think the average amount of volleys per test, which theirs is 9. Normally you'd be like 6, maybe 5. If they have the slow animation, it's definitely 5 or 6. If they have the faster animation, it's maybe 7. So they had 9, and I think, let's see, they got the, yeah, they do have the fast animation, but the thing that gave them a lot of more kills was that they scare the enemy. I think the enemy, before they charge in, at like 20-meter distance, they stagger, they stand still, they get shot another 3 times, and then they run in. So, and at first I thought this was a bug. I was like, what's happening? Why do they not charge in? So then I did it another time and another time before those 3 tests, and every time the enemy stops with charging in. So I think that's the perk that they frighten the enemy. They killed 7.8 per volley, which is pretty low. They would have been 15th on that list, which is the worst of all the, because there's 15 crossbow units, so that would be the last place. But they killed 1.5 per unit, and then they would be first place. And this all comes down to them having only 48 men in the battalion, because their range is quite nice. They got a really high attack, they got the fast reload animation, but there's just 48 of them. So yeah, that's really what's bringing them down. They are still an extremely good unit in melee. They, like I said, they scare the enemy, and I think they inspire yours as well. So they're in a really good unit that has a lot more uses than just being a crossbow. But as a crossbow, they are pretty, they're below average, because yeah, they're on 8th spot out of 15. Okay, and then we got to 7, which is another unit from Isengard. It's the Crossbows, wielding Uruk-hai. They got 224 kills over 3 tests with 18 volleys, so that's an average of 75 kills in 6 volleys. They killed 12.4 of the Gondor infantry per volley, which would have made them 9th, so a bit lower than they are now. And they kill 0.53 per unit themselves, and they would have stayed on the 7th spot. They got the fast reload animation, which is pretty nice, 140 men, which is a lot. It's higher than average. They got an 8 attack and 130 range, so both pretty average. Just a good solid crossbow unit. Number 6 are the heavy crossbows of Moria. They got 224 kills over 3 tests, in which they had 14 volleys. Just 14 volleys because they have the slow animation, but they are with 177 men, which is the largest battalion. So they did pretty well. They got 16 kills per volley, so they would have finished 3rd in that regard, which is really good. They killed 0.42 per unit, which they would have been 11th, which is really low. So you can see that their amount of men is really dragging their kills per unit down, but kills per volley is going up by a lot. Average accuracy and an average range of 140 and a little bit below average attack 7. I think in general this is one of the best crossbow units in the game, and that's probably because if you play a campaign as Moria, they're probably pretty cheap compared to all the other crossbows, and they're probably readily available as well. So yeah, this is a really decent crossbow unit. Okay, let's go to number 5, which are the Blacklock Engineers of Erebor. A very solid crossbow unit, dedicated, one of the higher slots in the Erebor rosters. They got 224 kills over 3 tests in which they shot 14 volleys. An average of 75 kills with 5 volleys per test round. They got 16 kills per volley, which wouldn't have made them second in the ranking of that, and then 0.3 kills per unit. They got a slow animation like most dwarves, 102 men and 13 attack, which is the second highest in the whole list. Because they had the exact same amount of kills as the Goblins of Moria, but they have 70 men less in their battalion. So you can see how much of a difference that makes. So just have 70 more men. Their attack of the Goblins of Moria is halved. Their range is a lot lower, but they kill the exact same amount of men. They just have a lot lower amount of. So on the 4th place we got the Longbeard Crossbows of Ered Luin. They had 233 kills over 3 tests, in which they had 16 volleys, which is an average of 78 kills with 5.5 volleys. On average, per volley they killed 14.5 of the enemy unit, which would have made them 4th in that list, and 0.6 kills per unit themselves, which is good enough for the 5th spot on the most kills per unit. They have the slow animation, the slow reloading animation, and 114 men, a 12 attack, which is pretty high, and 165 meter range with high accuracy. These are probably the best mainstream crossbow unit in the game. All the others that do better are pretty special. These are the ones that are pretty readily available still, which is fair because they're from Ered Luin, which is kind of the crossbow nation, so makes sense. And then on the 3rd place are the Regent Bogard of Dorwinion. They killed 237 over 3 tests in which they shot 17 volleys. So that means they killed 79 with 5.5 volleys. 13.9 kills per volley, they would have finished 5th with that, and 0.62 kills per unit on its own, which would have made them 6th. They got the fast reload animation, which is nice, 127 men, which is average. They got a 10 attack and 150 range, so pretty good range there. Just a very above average unit. They did really well. A really good unit. Second are the Beruvius Watch of the RR Denaim. They got 253 kills over 3 tests, in which they did 20 volleys, which is the highest amount of volleys after the Guard of the Hand of Isengard. So and that's mainly because they got a really big range of shooting, 180 range. 12 attack and 101 man, and also fast reloading with that amount of range is why they got so much volleys off. They would have finished 8th with the kills per volley, which are 12.6, and then kills per unit is 0.83, and then they would have finished 3rd. And then number 1 are the Broadbeam Marksmen from Ered Luin. They got a 289 kills over the 3 tests in which they had 17 shots, an average of 96 kills with 5.5 volleys. 17 kills per volley, which makes them first in that regard as well, and 0.95 kills per unit, which makes them second only to the Guard of the Hand. This is almost none except the Guard of the Hand got a better than got a kills per unit over 1. They had a slow animation speed like most of the dwarves, 101 man, 14 attack, which is the highest, and 100 meter range, which is also the highest, with a very high accuracy. So really good unit, and they are the general's unit of Nar, I think, in the Heirloom campaign. So very useful unit to have. Okay, so here is the ranking by most kills. So you have an overview and can see what every unit looks like. I put in the other 5 units that didn't make the top 10 as well. So you can see the Arachir Crossbows, the Orphan Sentries, the Thorn Crossbows, Dartai Crossbows, and the Journeymen. So the Journeymen are probably, they are the worst crossbow unit in the game, but it's still a crossbow unit. You need to know how to use it to be effective with them, and even the worst one can do a lot of damage. And here's the ranking of the most kills per unit. As you can see, Guard of the Hand jump all the way up to the first spot. Journeyman is still last. So if all the unit sizes would be the same, this would be the list, but unit sizes differ. And then this is the ranking per volley, which is pretty interesting to see. So still the Broadbeam Marksman would have been best, and Guard of the Hand all the way at the bottom. But cool things to see is like the heavy Goblin Crossbow jump up quite a bit. They do a lot of damage per volley, 16, so it's a tight second place, which is just really cool to see variation in the list, not just dwarves with their crossbows, but also some an evil faction and even orcs. Cool. So that was everything I wanted to show you and everything that gotten forth from these tests. If you want to see the full the whole full Excel sheet that I got with all the information, then I'll post it in the description, and feel free to like and subscribe. I'm doing a lot of Let's Plays lately. Every 2 days there's a new episode on the rowing campaign, and soon there's a different campaign to come as well. I'm trying to up the quality. Like I know there's a little bit of lag in there, but that should soon improve. Okay, so leave a comment down below if you got any feedback or you want to see me do another unit. And yeah, that was the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Still I sing, my boy.